What's up guys, welcome back to another video. I'm just going to be running through the fixtures just before the start of match day 3. We've only got I think 2 hours left until the start of it, so I'm just going to jump straight into it and just give my thoughts on each match fixture and which players I think maybe should target. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so looking at match day 3, it's quite a tricky one because some teams have already qualified and granted they will have qualified. I think most of them that have qualified will have qualified for the minimum of second place, but there will be teams who are also looking to get first place as well. For example, Italy have qualified for the round 16, but if Wales beat them, then Wales will finish top of the group, and perhaps they will have a slightly easier draw. But I mean, I do think that some teams will still field their first team, even if they were qualified for round of 16, because of that, because they'll still want to finish first in their group. So it's important to take that into account when we're looking at the fixtures and when we're thinking about which players we want to choose. Okay, so looking at the first fixture, we've got Italy versus Wales. Now, as always with Italy, or the first fixture in general, the good thing is that we can always see the lineup before the game starts, so we can adjust as accordingly. And I do think Italy is one to target for this week. I think Wales do concede quite a lot of shots on target. They have been a little lucky with Switzerland and Turkey in terms of not conceding too many, but I do think Italy could easily put a few past them. So I would keep an eye on Italy's team and target their midfield in particular, and target whoever their right or left back is, because they will probably get assists and most likely a clean sheet as well. So yeah, definitely want to target. Switzerland versus Turkey. This is a bit of a tricky one to predict. I think Turkey have been very underwhelming so far. I think they've more or less been like the Austria of last World Cup, where everyone was hyping up, saying the dark horses, they're going to do really well, second or maybe even first in their group, and then yeah, they've ended up coming last so far. So this is going to be a really interesting one. I personally think that based on what we've seen so far, Switzerland will probably just edge it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is also a draw. But having said that, I think Switzerland do need a win. Both teams will be going for the win, not the draw, because a draw will only get them either 3 points. You'll either only get them 1 point for Turkey or 2 points in total for Switzerland, as they've already got 1 point. So both teams will be going for a win. So I do think this is a fixture worth targeting. I would favour targeting Switzerland for this one, and maybe go for Imbolo potentially, or let's have a think. They've got Shaqiri or Rodriguez, potentially also Mbabu. But I would target those 3 ones. I think that's a good way of going about it. I personally still avoid Turkey because of how underwhelming they've been so far. Ukraine versus Austria. I think this is a fairly simple one to predict. I think that Ukraine will probably comfortably beat Austria. I think Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk are the two to target as usual. I don't think there's too much complication in this one. If we were to just quickly look at the table for this group, we've got Austria on 3 points, Ukraine on 3, and Netherlands in the lead with 6. So I mean, Netherlands have more or less come first in this group, so they're most likely to rotate, I think, out of all of the teams. Because even if Ukraine do get 3 points, it's very unlikely they'll win by 3 goals, and it's also unlikely that Netherlands will lose to North Macedonia. So the goal difference is only going to go up for Netherlands on a 3+ goal difference. So yeah, I would personally target Ukraine for Ukraine versus Austria. It will be a very tight game. Both sides will be going for the win. I don't think. I mean, I think Austria or Ukraine, they could get away with a draw. I mean, they could still qualify in 3rd place for a draw. But I still think that both teams will go for the win. I think it's probably a better round of 16 matchup if they finish on 6 points. Or yeah. So I think this is a different one, but I do think Ukraine will win it. So I'd target Yaremchuk and Yarmolenko. North Macedonia versus Netherlands. I think this will be comfortably a Netherlands win. Although I expect goals, I think there will be a lot of goals in this game. I think that North Macedonia might put one past Netherlands, but Netherlands will probably get 2 or 3 goals in this game, I predict. So the usuals for this will be quite difficult to predict, simply because they may rotate the lineup, which is a bit tricky. But having said that, I think Frank de Boer and the players have said that they want to keep in rhythm and keep match fitness and sharpness. So they may still field their first team, maybe with maybe 1 or 2 rotations. So maybe target the likes of Dumfries and Wijnaldum and Memphis Depay. So it could still be a good fixture to target. In terms of captains, I'd say for the first match day, I'd say it's fairly obvious. You're either going to captain Italy or Switzerland player, most likely Italy. For this week, I would probably captain Belgian player. We'll get onto the fixture in a second, but if I was to captain any out of these four matches, I'd say it's either going to be Yarmolenko or Wijnaldum or Depay, or a Belgian player, which we'll get onto just now. So it was probably going to be out of those 3 fixtures. But for this one, North Macedonia versus Netherlands, I would go with probably Depay and Dumfries. I think that's who I've gone with. I think there's quite a lot of competition for the midfield spots, so I'd keep an eye on that. Finland versus Belgium. This is a really good fixture to target. Roberto Martinez has said that he will be starting Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, and also Vermeulen as well. But having said that, he can be a bit, managers don't always tell the truth. They can always mislead. He's not really got much reason to mislead because Belgium have more or less qualified. If you just have a quick look, Russia is probably not going to get a win with 6+ goals against Denmark. So I think they've comfortably finished first place, Belgium. So I do expect a rotation. I do really expect a rotation. The only reason not to will be for match fitness and sharpness. But I would expect Kevin De Bruyne to start, and that's who I'm really going with as my captain for this week. I think he could be lighting up this week, and maybe even Eden Hazard as well. So I'd keep an eye on both of those. Could be a really good fixture to target. Finland will have let in a lot of shots on target, and they've gotten very lucky so far with how few goals that have gone in. So I think this could be a bit of a goal fest. Russia versus Denmark. This will be a tight game because both teams, if you look at the table just quickly, both teams are fighting for that 2nd and 3rd place. If Denmark beat Russia, then they could still, they could very easily finish 2nd, because even though Finland are on 3 points with 0 goal difference, but yeah, essentially Denmark can still have a very good chance of finishing 2nd because Finland are likely to let in a lot of goals, and that's going to seriously decrease their goal difference. So if Denmark even just get 1 goal, win by 1 goal difference, chances of Finland letting in 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 is still very likely. So they could very easily finish, very easily finish, definitely 3rd and potentially even 2nd. So I would target Denmark for this fixture. I think that they have still got a really good chance. And Russia are not the best team. They're not the strongest team. So I've personally targeted Mele for this fixture. He's only 4.5. He gets up and down that left flank quite a lot. I would also maybe target Poulsen or potentially Weghorst. I think he plays for Denmark as well. Or is it Wind? It's one of them. But yeah, I would personally go for either, most likely a Denmark defender. I've gone for Mele myself. But yeah, not a great fixture target, but still I would expect Denmark to win that one. Czech versus England. And I've been really surprised at the negativity around England and against Southgate. I may even do a video just dedicated to that because it's really getting on my nerves how our best manager in quite some time in terms of getting to the semi-finals in the World Cup. People will say like, oh, England had a really good run and they had easy fixtures and easy path there, but England always choked the easy games, So to get to the semi-finals, and when everyone was doubting Southgate and didn't really have any expectations, he got us one of our best results. And now just because we've gotten 1 comfortable win and 1 draw, now people are saying, "Oh, he's not good enough. Look at the players we've got." It's just a very negative English mentality. So I do want to stay positive for this one. I think that England will come back fighting, and they'll show people why Gareth Southgate is our manager, and what we can do when we've got a team mentality rather than an individual mentality. So I think that England will come back fighting. I think it's difficult to target expensive players for this one because there are better fixtures. Czech Republic are no slouch defensively, but they have let in quite a few shots on target. So personally, I've gone for Calvin Phillips. He's only 5 million, and he could get an assist or a goal, but he's good value for money. Personally, I would also go for potentially Mount. I think that Mount could get a goal. The wingers will be difficult because I think that he will definitely change the lineup. I think Grealish could be a really good one to target if he starts. Grealish could definitely back a goal and assist in this game. And I also think that England defence could be a really good fixture to target. It could be a place to target as well. So maybe John Stones. So yeah, I would keep an eye on that. I think it's not the easiest fixture, but definitely some place to target there. Croatia versus Scotland. Now, this is a huge game. If we just look at the table quickly, Croatia and Scotland both on 1 point, and they're going to be fighting for that third place spot. And yeah, they could also finish second if England choke, or potentially if Czech Republic choke really hard, because of that goal difference. So there could be. It's very unlikely that Scotland will finish second. If they win this, they'll finish third, most likely. But you never know. So it's still up for grabs. But I fancy Croatia to get this one. I think that Perisic could be a good one to target. Modric potentially, though he's a little bit expensive. And maybe even a Croatia goalkeeper or defender could be an interesting one. I would keep an eye on this fixture. I think it's definitely a good one to target because Scotland potentially will let in goals. They'll have to go for the win. They can't afford to go for a draw, so they will have to go for a win. And so that'll put them on the front foot. Will make them very weak to the counter. So I would definitely keep an eye on Croatia players, target Croatia players for this fixture. Moving on, we've got Sweden versus Poland for the final day of this match day. Sweden have been very good defensively. They've pretty much had similar results to England, basically. Well, they've had a 0-0 draw and they've had a 1-0 win. So, yeah, I'd definitely target Swedish defence. I think they have been consistently good there. I wouldn't really look elsewhere other than maybe their forward Isak. He's been very, very impressive, but he hasn't really had that chance to bag goals yet. So I personally wouldn't target attacking players because they don't play attacking football as a team. But I would target their defence. I've gone with Robin Olsen. So yeah, target their defence. I wouldn't go near Polish players. I don't think their team is just playing good football. I think they've got quite lucky against Spain. And yeah, I wouldn't target Poland players. Although if you do really want to go for a risk, a punt, maybe Lewandowski, but I personally wouldn't against Sweden, a Swedish side, which is very, very good defensively. Slovakia versus Spain. This is a tricky one. Spain have been very underwhelming considering the players that they've got and how well they're doing, but I do fancy them to still win. I think this group is pretty much open. Let's have a look quickly. Look how open this group is. I mean, one win from Poland can put them in first place. If Sweden, that could put them easily in first place. Having said that, then also Spain and Slovakia would have to draw for that to work. But the group is more or less open for those top three spots anyway. So I think this is a difficult one to predict. This group, I think Slovakia will come out fighting, and Spain will also come out fighting. I think Slovakia still got a very good chance of qualifying, even if they do lose to Spain. So personally, I think that Spain will win. It looks like Sweden are probably going to finish top of their group, but I think that Spain will win against Slovakia. I personally wouldn't target any players from this fixture. Maybe a Spanish defender, but I personally would avoid this fixture. Portugal versus France, again, a really difficult fixture. I think that Portugal was slightly underwhelming against Germany. They didn't defend well at all, but then again, got to give credit to Germany. I wasn't expecting an attacking display as good as that. They really came out fighting, especially after that loss to France. So, yeah, this is going to be a really difficult one to predict. I think, personally, I would still go for Portugal or a draw on this one. I think that Portugal will come out fighting again. And yeah, it's a difficult one to predict, this one, because they did just let in 4 goals. So you can never doubt. Maybe France is a good one to target. You never know. But then again, I wouldn't underestimate Ronaldo, and he's performed really well this tournament. So really, really difficult one to predict. If I was going to target from this fixture, you know what? Actually, I go against what I just said. I think that France will probably be the best one to target this one, considering Portugal just let in 4 goals. You can't be letting in 4 goals. I mean, France, I think that Mbappe could be a good one to target for this fixture. He's yet to hit form, but this could be the fixture he does in, and I wouldn't doubt him to do that. So yeah, I would target Mbappe for this fixture. I think he could come out roaring and show up in the big games. So I think he'll like a big game. So yeah, Mbappe for me. And Germany versus Hungary. This is a tricky one, really, really tricky one. I think Hungary, I mean, in fact, maybe it's not that tricky because Hungary are going to have to win to qualify. And Germany, I mean, they're going to, if Hungary come out fighting, Germany are going to have loads of opportunities. So unless the only way I can think this going badly is if Hungary sit deep but still go for the win on the counter, which is probably what they're going to do. They're not going to play attacking football against Germany. I think that, yeah, this is going to be really, really difficult because it could go either way. I could see Hungary coming out and just parking the bus and trying to go for that counter. So I would personally target a German defender, Gosens, for this because I don't think they'll let goals in Germany. But if they are to get attacking returns, he's got a good chance of getting them. So I would target maybe a German defender and German midfielder or forward. I wouldn't go for all three. I'll go for a German defender and either a midfielder or a forward. So maybe you've got Gnabry, Muller, or Havertz. I think they're good three to target. Or if you want to go cheaper, maybe Kimmich. So yeah, so I think this is going to be a really difficult match day to predict. But if it does go well, it will set apart certain players. I mean, my ranking at the moment is, if we just have a quick look, 90,000. So we're in the top 100k, but this is really going to be a match day that separates the front runners to go far in this tournament. So I think that this is a really important match day. Yeah. So I'm going to maybe do one more video just before the match day starts, and maybe just go through some top picks and see what my thoughts are on that. So yeah, stay tuned for that.